On today's Moving the Chains, a great interview with the red-hot Carvers Bay Bears head coach Matthew Richard Jerel. Really fun one here to get to break down this great Bear season so far with him.
Man, we're so excited to have him on the show today, man. Just talking about how great this team has performed thus far through the season, coming off a huge win, obviously, last week against Latta, looking to keep that rolling as they go through region play here. But just, hearing about how he's been able to build this program, special players, and everything Carvers Bay was a lot of fun today.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Movin The Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.
Welcome in to Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside Jerel Hendricks. Got a great interview today, a very special guest, the head coach of the Carvers Bay Bears, Matthew Richard. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys for having us. Thank you guys for all you're doing for high school athletics and high school football and even spotlighting Carvers Bay.
We appreciate that, and you guys will certainly be a fun team to follow so far this season. If this is you guys' first time tuning in, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter/X, Instagram, and more at Movin Chains, website movinchains.com, and our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and all podcast platforms. Coach Richard, in his 7th season with the Carvers Bay Bears, they're off to an undefeated start this season, 7-0 and 3-0 in region play. Coach, let's do a little background first on you. How did you get into coaching? How did you get started and get now to this head man gig here at the Bears?
My father always had a love for athletics and a love for the youth. He started the youth football league in our area a long time ago. He also started the youth track team also. And so growing up, I always had to, been the little kid at diapers watching him go to football practice and picking everyone up. So I started playing youth football way before I was old enough to actually play. I was just out there practicing. My youth football coaches from an early age nicknamed me Coach or called me Little Coach, and to this day they still call me Little Coach. And I think they just instilled that into me. Coaches like Coach Jackie Reed, who's a legend in our area, just instilled that. Coach Gathers, Dab Gathers, Jumpy Gathers, all those guys, looking up and idolizing those guys and the greats that we've had from this area. And it just was instilled in me.
Coach, let's jump into your team. And again, Kevin mentioned in the intro, you guys currently undefeated, just having a magical season so far, really, really rolling. If you don't mind, like what our program is mainly to do, we love talking to great coaches like you across the state, but we love to highlight the players. Can you talk about some of the guys that you have, starring for this year's team?
Our team is led by Zyon Guiles, who's considered by some of the recruiting services as the number 1 offensive lineman in the nation at his position. We start from there. We have other guys like Tristan Diggs, Christian Simmons, Kenard, Heyward, Julius, McCrea. The names go on and on. These are extremely athletic and gifted kids that I believe that'll be a great addition to any collegiate program in the future.
Coach, for folks who haven't had a chance to see you guys play maybe this year, the last couple of years, what would you kind of consider maybe your style on both sides of the football? And also, do you call plays for either side as well?
Well, I'm the head coach and defensive coordinator for the team. But if you come to see us play this year, and we said this early on, that we're going to run the ball and we're going to be unapologetic about it. You load the box and we're still going to run the ball. We believe that we have a great offensive line. We rather take those guys and follow those guys, and we'll go as far as they lead us.
Coach, last week you beat a previously unbeaten Latta team, a team that we thought was very highly coming into this season. Win that game 33-0 on the road. One of our best friends is a Latta alum. He was actually at that game, so he was giving us some updates and just said you guys just really imposed your will, like you mentioned, with that offensive line. You guys racked up 320 rushing yards. What else did your team do well in that ball game besides just pounding the football?
Yeah. Of course, we ran the ball. We were led by Kenard Heyward at the running back position. We were a little bit down because we were missing our second and third string running back. However, guys stepped in. Dominique Walker was a great key addition for us to get in and run the ball and follow up behind Kenard Heyward. But, defensively and special teams were outstanding. Not giving up a point for our first time all season versus a quality opponent such as Latham, that you couldn't ask anything better for the coaches. Our secondary really stepped up. We kind of stopped the explosive plays, and we kept it manageable for our team, and it showed.
Coach, you mentioned him earlier, Zyon Guiles, your all everything offensive lineman, hugely rated prospect there. And Carvers Bay obviously has had some great players come through the last several years, of course, as well. But for maybe the South Carolina fans out there, what kind of player are they getting in Zyon? What does he do well? What really impresses him or impresses you about him when you watch him play and just work in the background?
Zyon Guiles, he's a dominant player. You couldn't ask for a better athlete, a better kid, come from a great family. His father was actually one of my coaches and still coaching our staff today, the Honorable Judge Jonathan Guiles. When they get that guy, they're going to get a physical kid who plays angry, who wants to be great, who's going to continue to work and grind every single day. Not just on the field of play, but in the classroom and as a person. He's a kid with a 4.3 GPA, all the athletic ability. He probably could have been a better baseball player if he had stuck to it, but, had the real love of football. And he just devoted the last 2 years going from 0 offers to considered the number 1 in the nation within one calendar year. It's just an outstanding story. I think they may do a movie about him if he continued to progress. But you can't ask for a better kid, better player, and they're going to get a hard-nosed, physical Carvers Bay football player.
Hey, we may be making a movie about this team as well. We keep mentioning how you guys are just off to this fantastic start and, just doing great things. But what are you battling right now? Obviously, we're catching you in the middle of the season as you're going through the stretch run of region play. How do you keep your team grounded and, kind of fight off complacency as you continue to face tough opponents each week?
Every week we've been focused on being 1-0 every single week. We don't try to look too far ahead. We actually, one of our slogans is to win the day. So win Monday, win Tuesday. Don't try to wait till Friday to win the game. You need to win it and fall in love with the process of winning the game. Whether that's being in the weight room, whether that's doing the therapy that you need, because we're in the point of the season where everybody's a little banged up. There's nobody at 100%. There's nobody with all the starters from week 0 still starting today. And, we look forward to getting some of our guys back. We really miss them and need them. But those guys that's stepping in for us, that's playing double duties for us, those guys are really excelling. They're taking on the challenge. And that's one thing I can say about this team, that every time they face adversity, they rise to the occasion.
Coach, I think you guys play in the toughest 1A region in the state, in Region 6 1A. Just tons of great powerhouse teams. It feels like year in, year out. And on top of that, you played a pretty tough non-region schedule as well. How will those tough games, tight games from the non-region slate earlier on in the year really help you guys in this stretch run as you face some really big name squads?
Playing the non-region schedule that we do, teams like Waccamaw, who is a dominant 3A opponent, teams like Andrews, Georgetown, King Street. It prepares our guys for the 1A level, and it prepares our guys that they've faced adversity. They've been behind. They have to win tight games. They have to win games at the last second. They have been through it. And like I told those guys, if they continue to rise to the occasion, it's not who we play, it's how we play from here on out.
Coach, it doesn't get easier. Again, we're talking about that tough region in 1A, and you guys are back on the bus this week, traveling back up to Dillon County to take on Lakeview and the Wild Gators there, who is always a contender in 1A. What do you know about that group? What are you prepared for thus far this week? And what's the plan to come away with another victory?
Lakeview is a team, is a school with championship tradition. I think it's just born in the kids down there. No matter what the year, what their overall record, that you're going to get a quality championship opponent. And, you're going to have to take it one play at a time. Again, we're going to start from the ground up, from the offensive line, defensive line, and work our way back. But, again, we're going to focus on continue getting 1% better every single day. If our kids continue to do that, we stay healthy, we protect the ball, I think good things will happen for us.
Coach, it's been really cool for us the last couple of years to see. Anytime we post anything about Carvers Bay, it blows up. You guys share it and like it and post it. So like your community obviously really gets behind, this program. How have they really embraced this group after their hot start, and how are they kind of supporting you guys week in, week out?
We're loving the support that we've had. Our community invested a lot into these kids in this program. This is the 25th anniversary, we like to say, of excellence of Carvers Bay. And, thank you to our booster club who even, starting with uniforms and helping us, looking the part. And, it's just been a year of excellence for Carvers Bay so far. I think Melissa Jefferson and Byron Young started the trend, and we're just trying to keep up with those guys and the names that they're putting out there. Melissa Jefferson went undefeated this year in her track season, and so we're seeing her and inspired by what she's doing, and Byron Young leading the NFL in sacks. We're just trying to keep up with those guys and keep the tradition going.
Founders Federal Credit Union means banking made for you. The on the go, the pick up and go, and the I want to go. Because at Founders, we give you the financial tools that make every dollar work for you. For the little things to the big things. For your future and your peace of mind. We'll always stay grounded in our roots, but reaching beyond what you'd expect is where we'll always go. Find out what our members already know and enjoy a new way to bank. Relax. You're with Founders.
Couple easier ones for you, Coach. What you go today? Maybe it's on the bus to an away game. Maybe it's your office on a home game. But what's on your pregame playlist as you get ready to take the field on Fridays?
Pre-game, we just working on just still cleaning up any little small things, making sure that everybody understands where they need to be, especially special teams. Just focusing on a little more focus on special teams, ensuring that the right people in the right position, understanding what we saw from film and what we expect in our game plan. Just the last minute meetings and just cleaning things up. And we have a great FCA program who Pastor Van and Father Graham, getting with our guys, making sure that we get our chapel before every game, get into the word, understanding that we still we may be on Team Carvers Bay, but everybody's playing for Team Jesus Christ. So there's some things we try to focus on pregame.
Coach, you mentioned before we went to the break there, you talked about Melissa Jefferson and, the multitude of players that have come through your program, guys that have made it. What kind of inspiration does it give to your team as they go through, the high school and, not everyone's going to make it as an athlete, but what kind of inspiration does that provide for your players and also students at the school?
I think it's invaluable. I mean, you can't even quantify the impact that you can look back and see people who sat in the same desk, the classroom, walk the same halls as you, achieve some of the goals that you want to achieve. A kid like Byron Young, who's had 0 offers from after graduating from high school, but they did it the hard way. I always tell him he got it out the mud, went and earned everything he got. And, someone like Melissa Jefferson, who still come back, still interact with the kids. We're still having programs, still get to see her. It's amazing. It's an honor, having so many guys, the Clayton Gathers, from even the unknown that everybody may not know nationally, like the D. Adrian Coley, the Leonard Staffords, of the world. It's just invaluable to have those guys around.
Coach, Jerel and I love to catch a good meal. Now, if we're coming down to a Carvers Bay game on a Friday, where's the best spot for a pregame meal, maybe in that Hemingway, Georgetown area? What are some spots you like to go to when you're out on the town? Well,
you're coming through the Carvers Bay, Hemingway area. You got to stop by the world-famous Scott's Barbecue and get that pulled pork. I think by far one of the best barbecue in the nation. Rodney Scott and those guys do an absolute great, amazing job. It's still old-fashioned. It's straight up, still with the wood, straight oak. You can smell the smoke in the air before you get there. Just remember that it's cash only, still old school. But you have to stop there, no matter what.
Scott's Barbecue, for anybody listening, you got to make sure that you hit that. That's one of the best in the country, as you mentioned, and one of the most famous places. And I spent a time there in that area, so I always try to swing by. But, Coach, last year you guys fell in the first round of the playoffs. Obviously, you're looking to make a much deeper run, poised to do so. What is it going to take to kind of get past that and really achieve those goals that you have for this year?
Last year we had a lot of kids that looked like Tarzan. They got off the bus, but sometimes when they get in that pressure situation, then we might have turned into Jane. This year we have a lot more experience coming back, with 18 seniors leading the charge for us. That's having experience is also immeasurable also. And, now those guys have experienced it. They've been these places. They've been in those pressure situations, and they're ready for it.
This has been great. I want everyone to go check out Coach Richard and the Bears program on social media. He does a great job posting updates on Twitter about his kids. Certainly check them out there. Like I mentioned, follow us as well on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, even more at Movin Chains, MovinChains.com, and our podcast on all platforms. Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Jerel, anything else for Coach? Let him go today.
Coach Richard, first of all, I want to thank you so much for your time today and being able to join us, man. It has been so much fun keeping up with your program this year. But even me, a guy from the upstate, I've heard about Carvers Bay for a long time, for all the great athletes that you've had come through that program, and great people is what it sounds like. So it's really excited to keep up with that. And I guess I've understated it earlier. Melissa Jefferson, that's the Olympic gold medalist for somebody who has not really been paying attention. So she won gold at Paris. So that's really cool. But I'm just really excited to see what you guys do down this stretch run and into the playoffs. We hope you guys remain healthy and just continue to have success this year.
Coach, we really appreciate your time. Look forward to catching up with you, hopefully at a game sometime soon and getting to meet you in person. And best of luck the rest of the way, all right?
Thank you. And you guys are always welcome down to Carvers Bay. You know, like I said, we're just trying to continue the tradition that's been passed on in front of us by, the legendary Coach Nate Thompson started this. And, we're just trying to keep it going.